Hello and welcome back to Lighthouse Online. We are in our fifth week of our devotional series and we've been looking at what does God want for us. And with that we've been having a specific focus on the APEST giftings in Ephesians 4. So we've already covered apostles, prophets, evangelists and shepherds, and this week we're going to unpack the role of teacher, the gift of teacher. So I'm going to unpack a little bit about what a teacher is, and then on Friday we're going to hear more about what it means to be a teacher as part of God's body, and we're also going to hear more about what is God's heart for a teacher? What does God long for us as teachers? But before we jump into what a teacher is, I'm just going to read to us Ephesians 4 verses 11 to 13, just to remind us what we've been looking at over the last 5 weeks. And it says, "Now these are the gifts Christ gave to the church: the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, and the shepherds and the teachers. Their responsibility is to equip God's people to do his work and build up the church, the body of Christ. This will continue until we all come to such unity in our faith and knowledge of God's Son that we will be mature in the Lord, measuring up to the full and complete standard of Christ." So, teacher, it's the last gifting that is listed in Ephesians 4. And immediately as I've said teacher, as we're looking at teacher, you might have in your mind gone back to your days at school or college or university, and you might be remembering a teacher that you didn't like. I can think of a few personally, but I think we have this idea that this teacher, like we as students, we all had a teacher that we didn't like. And I think actually this role of teacher that we have in our mind, the idea of a teacher that we've created, is actually very different from the gifting of teacher that is talked about here in Ephesians 4. So you might have in your mind maybe a maths teacher you didn't like. You might have in your mind a computing teacher, an ICT teacher that maybe used to pick on you a little bit. But the Hebrew meaning for teacher is one of three things. The role of a teacher was first to teach, also to lead, and also to instruct. And if we look at teacher, we can also think of the word rabbi. And rabbis and teachers, looking at this from a contextual point of view, these were people that the students fully respected. And the reason that students fully respected their teachers, their rabbis, was because the students knew that the rabbis wanted to teach, to lead, and to instruct them to be greater teachers than they themselves were. You know, a teacher or a rabbi was somebody that the student would be around all of the time. You know, it wasn't a case of in our context where we see a teacher, we go to school, we go to university, we go to college, we sit in a lesson, we're taught something, and then we're out again. Because the role of teacher that we've created in our society is one of education. Whereas the teacher role that is talked about in the Bible throughout is one of relationship as well as of education and various other things. So I wonder whether we have the wrong idea of teacher and whether we need to reshape, to rethink what that role of teacher, what that gifting of teacher actually is. Something fun to leave you with and something to think about before we hear more on Friday about what is God's heart for a teacher and what does it mean to function as a teacher as part of God's body. But I just want to challenge you to maybe rethink what your idea of a teacher is. And just see what God says. Because I think maybe it's something that we've got very wrong. So a teacher, someone who teaches, someone who leads, someone who instructs, someone that wants the best for their students. Let's leave with that. Let's leave with a teacher being much more than just a educational, teacher. It's much more than that. So that is the challenge I want to leave with you today. Rethink what your immediate thoughts and reactions are on a teacher, and let's see what we will have to share and to hear on Friday. Have a great rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you on Friday.